I suppose everything. When you get a Sunil Gavaskar or a Sachin Tendulkar coming from your city, and I'm not taking a lot other great names, I mean it's given city its own identity in a way. Anyway, it's a great city, but cricket with some of the stalwarts that we've produced has given it a different identity, and most of them have come from the grassroots levels, from school cricket and then university cricket. So that's probably the identity that Mumbai cricket has. I mean, Mumbai is probably one of the places where state cricket is still given a lot of precedence over maybe some of the other forms of the game, and Ranji Trophy is still given a lot more importance than maybe some of the other states where players want to play Ranji Trophy, but don't come into a winning culture, which has been a part of Mumbai cricket for a very long time. I started playing at Shivaji Park with Ramakant Achrekar, and some of the top guys who've played for Mumbai have obviously started at either Shivaji Park or the Azad and the Cross Maidans, or at Matunga. So yeah, I mean that's where you got cricketers from over the years. Even now, I mean most guys who join any school which is a cricketing school have their practices at one of the Maidans. So whether it has changed a lot, I won't be able to give you a definite answer, but yeah, I mean the game's evolved anyway over the last 7, 8, 10 years, a lot more than before, and there's a lot more exposure, there's a lot more awareness of what goes on because of the TV, and that's probably the only thing. But essentially you start your cricket at Maidan at any given point. If you don't play in the Maidans, I don't think you're going to get noticed really. I mean, okay, you have a few more academies running now where you can get into, but you've got to start at one of the Maidans, and that's been the unique part. And as you said, the competitiveness is what makes it unique, because even the club games really that are played every weekend are at a pretty good standard. That's why you tend to produce a lot more players in Mumbai than the local cricket probably is a lot stronger than maybe any other state in India. Maybe it is, but there's nothing wrong with it as long as the basics of the game remain the same. I mean, basically you need to learn cricket. Doesn't matter which academy you go to or whether you start at a Cross Maidan or a Shivaji Park. If you've got the right guy guiding you, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a bit more structured, because the games change. You can't deny that. You can't forever say that Maidan is going to produce you a Sachin Tendulkar. It might not be possible in the future. So there's nothing wrong with structure as long as the basics of the game remain the same. Again, it comes to the association that runs the show. How to go about it. If you, as I said, there's nothing wrong with having academies or having structured sort of things done for younger players coming through, but eventually you've got to spot a kid somewhere if he's good enough. I mean, they're not going to just come straight to the academy, and that is half the job done if you can spot the right guys. And yeah, it is so far, because our local structure, it doesn't necessarily be in Maidans, but that's where you start playing cricket as a young player. So yeah, that is where you spot the guy, but the exposure is a lot more now, so kids are a lot more aware of what's going on around them, and probably learn a bit quicker than before. I think we need to definitely make sure that we spot the right guys. I think that's been one of the issues, because of so many tournaments. We get a lot more players, in bulk really, and you need the right guys to spot it. And for sure, I mean, Mumbai is not producing cricketers as often as they used to, who just walked into a Ranji team and were good enough to be there. So there is a lot that needs to be done, and basically finding the right guys who can do the job, which is probably the biggest thing, because I'm sure there's plenty of it around. If you have the right people having the right vision to actually spot a good kid from an average one, and then making sure he follows the right steps to wherever, I mean, whether to get to an academy or basically take the right path of how it's done these days. So that's the biggest thing. You just need the right people in the right places sometimes there, and that's half the job done if you spot a guy. And then eventually it's up to the individual how much he can push himself. But spotting talent, I mean, that's where I suppose our coaches spotted us from nowhere. I mean, Ramakant Achrekar was a master of it. He picked guys who he thought can actually get better, and not just whether they were good or bad at that point.